The sea was calm that morning, but beneath its quiet surface, something monstrous was waiting. It was 1991, the Gulf War, and in the vast waters of the Persian Gulf, the air shimmered with heat and tension. The silence of dawn broke not with birdsong, but with the deep rumble of engines, the kind that carried steel, fire, and the fate of nations. The U.S. Navy destroyers, the British frigates, and the coalition warships moved like ghosts across the horizon, their radars scanning, their crews holding their breath. Somewhere far ahead, the Iraqi Navy, smaller, outnumbered, but dangerously defiant, was ready to strike back. And then, just before sunrise, the ocean lit up. Missiles sliced through the air, painting streaks of orange fire across the dark blue sea. The first battle of the Gulf on water had begun. The American ship USS Princeton was hit by a mine, a thunderous explosion that threw men off their feet. Alarms screamed. The decks burned, but the crew, trained, steady, unbroken, fought back against the waves and the flames. Nearby, British forces aboard HMS Gloucester detected an incoming Silkworm missile, fired by Iraq toward the battleship USS Missouri. It was a race between technology and death, and in a split second, the British Sea Dart missile roared into the sky, and struck the Silkworm midair. The explosion turned the heavens into a ball of fire. The men on Missouri cheered. They had seen death coming, and watched it die in the air. But the Gulf wasn't done yet. The waters were thick with oil, deliberately spilled by retreating Iraqi forces to create a black, poisonous barrier against enemy ships. The sea itself seemed to mourn, its waves heavy with smoke and crude, reflecting the burning sky above Kuwait. It was not just a war of men and machines, it was a war that made the ocean bleed. Coalition aircraft swooped down low, A-18S, A-6 Intruders, Tornado GR-1s, turning the sea into a battlefield of fire and thunder. Every strike left the air trembling. Every explosion sent shockwaves deep into the black water. Iraqi vessels, trying to escape north, were trapped in what would later be called the Highway of Death at sea. From above, the sky looked like hell had opened, ships burning, oil spreading, waves carrying pieces of metal and silence. And yet, amid all that chaos, there was courage, sailors diving into oil-slicked water to rescue survivors, engineers risking their lives to keep engines running, and captains standing firm even when their decks were melting under fire. This was not just war, it was endurance, faith, and madness mixed together. As the day ended, the sea still burned. And in that burning ocean, history had been written, with oil, iron, and human blood. Night fell like a black curtain over the Gulf. The fires from burning ships still glowed, their reflections trembling across the waves like dying stars. Radio signals crackled in the dark, coordinates, cries for help, coded orders. But then came a silence, heavy and endless, as if the sea itself had fallen asleep from exhaustion. Below the surface, submarines moved like shadows. American Los Angeles-class subs hunted silently, tracking Iraqi vessels trying to hide beneath the radar. Every ping of sonar was a whisper of death. Above, the coalition fleets formed an iron wall, guarding the oil-rich coastlines, ensuring that Saddam's forces couldn't strike again from the sea. One Iraqi ship, T-43 Minelayer, tried to flee, loaded with deadly mines meant to trap coalition vessels. But it never made it far. An American A-6 bomber spotted it through the night vision scope, a green silhouette gliding across black waves. Moments later, a laser-guided bomb found its mark. The ship exploded, not with a bang, but with a roar that shook the heavens. For miles, the water burned with orange fire. By dawn, the Gulf was filled with wreckage, the twisted remains of what once was a fleet. But among the ruins, sailors still worked tirelessly, scanning for floating mines. Every mine was a death sentence waiting for a mistake. One wrong turn, one careless move, and the calm sea could become a graveyard again. Environmental catastrophe followed. The oil spills stretched across hundreds of miles, black waves washing ashore, killing fish, birds, and coral. It was said the sea itself cried that year. And yet, amid the destruction, there was relief. The war at sea had ended. The coalition had crushed the Iraqi Navy. The waters were theirs again. But victory didn't taste like triumph. It tasted like smoke, like salt, like loss. The men who fought that day never forgot the sound of fire meeting water, that strange, haunting hiss when the ocean tried to swallow the flames but couldn't. Many said the Gulf still remembers. On some nights, sailors claim you can still hear echoes, distant booms, faint alarms, the ghostly sound of engines roaring from under the sea. That was the day the ocean turned to steel. The day when men fought not just the enemy, but the elements themselves. The day the Gulf burned, and the sea became a mirror reflecting humanity's darkest fire. Please don't forget subscribe, like, share, or comment, and thankfully.